Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Real Talk on WCOBM. I'm Melissa Wiggins, your host, and I am joined this afternoon by a very esteemed guest. Her name is Tiara Jones. And Tiara, introduce yourself to our viewers. Tell them what you do and tell them a little bit of background about yourself.
Good afternoon, everybody. I am District Court Judge Tiara Jones. I am the judge in Department 10 of the 8th Judicial District Court. I am a Nevada native, born and raised in Hawthorne, Nevada. I lived in Reno when I was doing my undergrad at UNR, and then I moved to Las Vegas in 2003 to attend law school and made Las Vegas my home.
Talk about those early beginnings in Hawthorne, Nevada. Many of us do not know where Hawthorne is on the map. We want to hear about that, and we want to hear about your journey from Hawthorne to your education path.
Well, I was actually born in Reno because there were some complications, but I've lived my whole life in Hawthorne, Nevada. I grew up in that very small town of approximately 2,500 people maybe. I think it was a very interesting upbringing because it taught you about community camaraderie and to know what it's like to just know your neighbor and be comfortable knowing your neighbor and knowing everyone. And it actually was very beneficial for me. My first summer out of law school, I was actually able to go back home to Hawthorne and work for the district attorney and be able to get paid my first summer out of law school, which is very rare for a law student. Most law students are doing free internships their first summer. So, I mean, it was absolutely beneficial to me. I think it taught me a lot of hometown values and hometown things that I've been able to take with me into the city to make me want to be more connected to my city and want to be such an integral part of my city of Las Vegas that I call home now.
Okay, well, talk about your educational path.
Well, I left Hawthorne when I was 18 and I moved to Reno, and I attended the University of Nevada, Reno. And in 2003, I graduated there with a Bachelor of Arts in Criminal Justice and a minor in Counseling and Educational Psychology. And at that time, I knew that the law school was here in Las Vegas, so I applied to the William S. Boyd School of Law, and I moved in 2003 to Las Vegas, where I attended the William S. Boyd School of Law, where I graduated in 2006.
Fantastic. Talk about your career path, because this is very interesting. You were, of course, an attorney. Then you went from there to be a public defender, and then you were a prosecutor. So talk about all of that transitioning.
Well, fresh out of law school, I went to work as a law clerk for the Honorable Stuart L. Bell. It was a phenomenal job, a great experience. And then I went on to be a public defender because I had always had a dream of being a public defender and defending those who are in need, who just don't have the resources to hire private attorneys. And I did that job for 5 years, and I enjoyed it, and it was very rewarding. But I also, in the back of my mind, I've always known I wanted to be a judge. Ever since I went into the legal field, I knew that I wanted to be a judge. And I thought in order to be a criminal judge, it would be very important to know the criminal world from both sides. So I believed that I needed experience as a prosecutor as well to give me that ability to know both sides of the criminal field. So I went out to Nye County and worked as a prosecutor out there for about 18 months. And then I was given the phenomenal opportunity to come back to Las Vegas and be a prosecutor at the Clark County District Attorney's Office, which is where I was since 2013. And it was a phenomenal experience that I absolutely enjoyed. And I enjoyed that part of representing the victims, who you are their only spokesperson. These people have had their homes broken into and have been victimized in a variety of ways. And you show up to court and you are their spokesperson to attempt to get justice on their behalf. And I was at the Clark County District Attorney's Office when Governor Sandoval appointed me to District Court 10 in April of this year.
That's very, very impressive, Tiara. Talk about your jurisdiction as a district court judge. What jurisdiction do you have, and what type of cases do you commonly hear?
Well, I have a split docket. What we call a split docket is on Mondays and Wednesdays I hear criminal cases, and on Tuesdays and Thursdays I hear civil cases. And in the criminal field, we handle all gross misdemeanors and felonies, and we have the ability to do any sort of disposition on those. I hear jury trials on criminal cases, and those felonies can be anything from a murder to a conspiracy to commit a crime. I mean, which is a gross misdemeanor, but those are handled in district court. In civil, we hear just about everything. I mean, mostly right now there's a lot of HOA liens that we're hearing. We hear car accidents. We hear contract disputes. We hear a variety of things in the civil world that can't be handled in justice court.
You were a recent guest speaker at a Change One through the Real Talk Youth Impact Program. Talk about some of the key messages that you were sending out there to the youth that you were addressing.
Well, I think it's important for them to know that a lot of people have different circumstances, and you can't let those things hold you back from continuing to make a positive impact on this community and doing something positive for yourself as well. I think it's easy for those circumstances to get the best of young people if they don't necessarily believe that they have the resources to overcome that. And so I wanted to send the message to them that even me, I'm from a small town. I mean, I had things happen to me. You know, my father passed away when I was 16. I could have taken that opportunity to give up, and that's one of the things I explained to them. Sometimes circumstances aren't what you would like those to be, but it's important that you use the resources around you to overcome that so you can be a success and add to this community each and every day.
What are some of those resources that you would advise them to tap into?
Well, I think there's a lot of people in this community who do a tremendous amount of volunteer work. Like, I was actually very upset I didn't have time to reschedule my affair so I could attend the Matt Kelly Back to School event today, because I think that is such a phenomenal program where the community leaders are out there welcoming these kids back to school and letting them know we're here for you. There's a lot of programs. Cherie's Real Talk program, I think, is a phenomenal resource for them. That program provides access to after school activities that will be free to you as long as you are a member of that program. I think there's a lot of after school programs and a lot of charity organizations around the valley that do their part in giving back and giving the young people an alternative.
How hard is it to do what you do as a judge? Because you've got a lot of pressure and a lot of decisioning in your hands with the cases that you hear. How do you reconcile that at the end of the day with some of the cases that come in front of you and some of the tough sentences that you have to render?
Well, I think it's important to always remember that Governor Sandoval and the citizens of the state of Nevada put their faith in me to do the right thing. I think him appointing me demonstrated his faith in me, and I took an oath. I took an oath to uphold justice, and every single day I want to walk out of there with the feeling that that's exactly what I have done. But I think it's a balance. I mean, when you're a judge, it's a balance. You have to balance a lot of different factors, you know, and you have a duty to protect the community, but you also have a duty to do what's fair and make sure that justice is served for all the individuals who are involved, whether they be plaintiffs, defendants, the state of Nevada, you know, any litigant that comes before you, you have a duty to ensure that they receive justice. And I think that's definitely an oath that I take very seriously, and I want to go home at the end of the day believing that that's what I've done.
Very good. You said something that was very impactful when you were speaking to the youth. You said, you're just like the members. Can you kind of elaborate on that and what you meant when you said that you're like the members but taking maybe a different path?
And I think that it's important to note, because I think at any time, me and anybody else could have gone the wrong way. And I think I did follow that up with talking about, you know, the loss of my dad at such an young age. I mean, that was devastating to me, but I didn't allow that to let me deviate from the path that I was on. And one of the messages I wanted to leave at Real Talk is everybody can choose the path that I chose. You know, it's absolutely out there. Those options are available to you for you to be able to do that thing, to do any of those things. And I want them to know that even if you step off that path, you can step back onto the right path. And I feel like for me, I could have stepped off that path, but that's just not the choice that I made. So I wanted to definitely leave with them the choices that you make are what's going to keep you on the right path.
Absolutely. And we want to talk some more on this topic. So we are going to be right back, and we're going to be speaking with Tiara a little bit more.